Welcome to the Investor Financing Podcast, where we interview real estate investors and lenders so you can learn all the secrets to getting your projects funded and scale your portfolio. Learn about fix and flip loans, BRRRR financing, rental, fix to rent, commercial, multifamily bridge loans, business loans, and so much more. And now, your host, Beau Eckstein.
It's interesting, as I moved to Nevada, now I'm reading all these headlines that everybody from New York and San Francisco, I posted in my Facebook group, it was like a chart from all the people moving outside of San Francisco and how rents are, declining in San Francisco because people want to live in the burbs now. So it's kind of rolling itself back, which I think is pretty interesting.
That is really interesting, Beau. And hey, myself too, I apologize. I'm in my, t-shirt from the workout this morning, and it was wonderful to get on the elliptical and like every day and have a meeting with my people from Pune, India. We had almost 1.5 hour session this morning, and Beau and I talked to some investors this morning before the show and sent out some docu-sites. Oh my gosh, so Friday has really started in a big way. And actually, I'm so pleased to have a wonderful lady with us, a wonderful person, Sarah Jung. She's from Sacramento. Hi, Sarah. Welcome.
Hi. Good morning, you guys.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. I'm so proud you could come with us, and hopefully we'll be talking about some really great topics today. Anybody watching us, please go ahead and tell us where you're from, and also have some good questions about life, how to move your business to the next level, about loans. I mean, Beau is the specialist in mortgage. Actually, Sarah's background is also, so we're going to talk about all those.
We have lots to talk about today.
It's going to be an exciting show, guys. I want to introduce Sarah formally. Actually, I came to know Sarah last year in Dallas, and such a great, person I met personally. And also she joined our academy. Thank you, Sarah, personal coaching. She's the CEO and founder. Sarah Jung has been a leader in real estate finance for over 17 plus years and is an active investor in residential and multifamily properties, founding member of the Legacy Bloom Investments. And her passion right there is to help people with passive income real estate strategies, as it provides opportunities for financial freedom. We all want that. And this show is about that, how you can really leave that W-2 job or get streams of passive income so that you could be able to have a great lifestyle and so on. Her broad range of experience in real estate finance includes underwriting, originations in the new construction, renovation programs, affordable housing program, multifamily residential financing, having funded over $1 billion in real estate. Come on, Sarah, that's amazing. Oh, wow. That's wonderful. In real estate transactions over her career, she built a highly successful mortgage business that won multiple President Club awards over several years for top sales performance. And in 2018 was named the top 1% of the mortgage originators in the country. Hold on. We want to talk about that. That's amazing. Her track record in sales, marketing, and operations has resulted in customer service and operational excellence, gaining loyalty from her team, clients, and business partners alike. She's passionate about educating investors on how to invest in real estate to build long-term wealth. She lives in a greater Sacramento area with her family. Fabulous. Welcome to the show,
Vinny.
Sarah. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that really nice introduction.
Totally. Tell us more about, did you grow up here or how? Tell us.
So I'll share with you a little bit about my background and my story. So I grew up originally in the Midwest. I grew up in Wisconsin, and I moved out to California back in 2000. And I was actually originally attracted to the Silicon Valley to actually be in the technology industry. But then shortly after, within about a year or so, I got pulled into the mortgage industry instead. and that's where I started my banking career, and haven't looked back since. So been a long run. I had a very successful career in the mortgage business. And we lived for several years in the Bay Area. And then we moved up to the Sacramento area in 2010. And my mortgage banking, I was at both banking. I did mortgage banking. I worked at the larger banks, worked in wholesale. So I've been around the block a little bit on that. And as Beau, I'm sure we experienced the real estate crash, and that was real fun when we were watching all of the lenders fall off the cliff back then. And so where I started in the mortgage industry was, I was very motivated to be successful. I wanted to make a lot of money. I was younger, and so just trying to build up my career. And thanks, John.
Yes.
And then what happened is probably over the years, I built out, I became a sales manager for a team. And what we did is for the last several years, we built up relationships with these developers in the area. And so we were their in-house financing arm for all of their subdivision communities. And I did that for many years. And then when I was in the Bay Area, I also did construction lending and some specialty programs in affordable housing. I was actually the in-house for Santa Clara County's affordable housing program. So I got really familiar with kind of different aspects of the business. And after we moved in 2010 to Sacramento, it really, really took off. 2009, 2010, I was extremely busy because even with lenders and everything falling apart, builders were trying to sell their inventory like crazy. I mean, they were just like slashing prices, trying to get rid of all their homes. And so we were actually really busy at that time. And then my family and I, we decided to move up to the Sacramento area. I actually took a little bit of a break, went into more of operations side. And then I got pulled back into sales to continue some relationships with some developers to do their financing. And so over the last probably like 6 or 7 years of that, I built out another team with loan officers and operations, and continued that business in addition to just the retail side of the business, with the real estate community, as a whole, as well. And so what happened was over time, Beau, as you know, I mean, that business is a grind. And so for many years, I worked 24/7. I mean, really like almost 24/7, 7 days a week. My kids are teenagers now, so they can tell you the sacrifices that were made with mom working pretty much all the time. And so what I started learning, and we had invested in multiple just residential properties over the years, and we've done our own investing. But I never really took it seriously because I was so focused on my career and, trying to, my job and everything and raising a family. And I always thought about, investing on a bigger level, but I just never took the time. Mm-hmm. And so a few years ago, what happened was it got to a point where, working so much, like you work all the time, just go to work, you come home, you do the same thing, maybe you work out, you feed your kids, you go to bed, you wake up, you do the same thing. Yeah. I mean, it was just kind of, so I got to a point where I was like, is this it? Is this all that life has to offer? And I knew that it wasn't. I knew that I didn't want to do the mortgage sales forever. I couldn't imagine myself doing that for the next 20 years because honestly, it made me kind of sick at the time thinking about it. And so I started strategizing in how to start exiting out of my job per se. And so then I started to take investing more seriously. And that's when I started we bought some additional properties. But then what I discovered was, well, we can buy more properties, but why don't we just buy multiple units? And that's when I got into multifamily and started being more interested in the multifamily space. And, the motivation behind all of that was really just to, it took a personal toll on me. I actually fell into a bit of a depression. There was some personal sacrifice, lots of personal sacrifices that were made because of the work schedule and just really not having enough time for myself or for my family. And so that really took a toll. And so the whole motivation behind it was, how can I set up my life so that I have more freedom, more time, so that I can take care of my family. I can spend more time, with them, and just kind of reevaluating what was really important in life. And it wasn't about money; it was really about time. And so taking the multifamily more seriously, setting up a strategy for myself to, take a step back, slow down, and think about how I could invest and strategically invest so that I could have more, freedom, in the next like 5 to 10 years. And so that's kind of how it evolved. Yeah. And here I am today. I've worked with you, Vinny. I've been in your academy. I've been in a few deals. I'm syndicating a deal. Actually, we're syndicating an apartment deal right outside of Waco, Texas.
Yes.
And we're also syndicating a deal, actually a new development deal in St. Louis for a senior living development. So just kind of took a shift in things. Still doing loans for my clients because I still have clients that I still like to work with. Sure. But overall, though, that was kind of the journey that I had to take to kind of where I'm at now.
Wow. Thank you, Sarah. Wow. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, that just really says, definitely we have to go that path, right? And then you make decisions because you want to do something different, right? Better, and so forth and so on. I know, Beau is very great in his profession. And I think where he's at, he's even done maybe fourfold, right? In the loans, even just in the last, many months, we could say, or, years. So, no, that's exciting, very exciting. And what you really hit me right now, what you're saying is you want to see the ROT, the return on time, and even though your kids are teenagers, but you do want to spend more time before they go to college and they are gone to, married and things like that, right? So people listening to us, I'm sure that has been, in their minds, and a lot of people who are cross-section of people will be watching this also. And I've gone through those phases. Beau, you have gone through those phases, right?
Yeah, I still do. And what's interesting is you have these real estate professionals like residential mortgage brokers and real estate agents. And the funny thing is many of them, all their life, they're involved in real estate, but they never invest for themselves. And if you're a real estate agent, let's say, okay, you're only as good as your last deal. Same thing as a mortgage broker, right? You only get paid when you close deals. Yeah. So you get into this grind, and the tough part is you have to have an exit strategy. And it was resonating with me what Sarah was saying, because it's like I deal with that all the time, and that's why I kind of evolved into doing commercial loans as opposed to residential loans, because I'd rather work on bigger projects and less because this $100,000 deal I'm doing in Indiana to fund this fix and flip is as much time as this big $11 million deal, right? So that's kind of the mindset going forward. It's the same thing, closing on a single family home versus and flipping that single family home is probably more work than what Vinny's putting into a 300 unit acquisition now, because he knows how to delegate and manage his time. So, you can either be average or above average, right? Like if you're good just living an average life, and that's the kind of thing I've dealt with for so long. Like I work so hard, but the problem is you work the E-Myth by Michael Gerber. You're working in your business, not on your business. You got to be working on your business to get out of the rat race. And I think everybody that watches this show wants to get out of the rat race and, live the American dream of actual passive income, because passive income, everybody talks about wanting to make passive income, but no matter what you do in the beginning, it's not passive income until you finish the end, right? Till you get that assisted living facility built, stabilized, right? There's a lot of heavy pushing. I mean, luckily, Vinny's been doing this for a while, and kind of, he's more on the, working on the business portion of it, right? So now he can really kind of have his different independent contractors do a lot of the tasks, and he doesn't have to do the day-to-day grind. But I'm still grinding, and I can tell you it's not as fun. That's what we're working towards, is to get away from the grind, really is the key. I mean, no matter if you're a W-2 employee or you're self-employed, broker, you're still grinding, right? You're still transactional, and you don't want to be transactional. And that's why I love doing this show, because we bring on guests and we listen to people's journeys about, like, okay, if I keep on doing this thing, yeah, sure, I can make. I look at my residential mortgage broker friends right now, and they're crushing it, right? Because they can get a 30-year fixed rate at 2.5% or whatever it is. And so it's a refinance boom right now. And so I got friends that usually make 150 grand a year that are making 100 grand a month right now. So, there's a huge, so I get it right now, but those people listening, it's important that you start buying real estate for the long term, because if not, you're going to look back and you're going to be, you're going to be a 60-year-old real estate agent still having to sell houses to make a living. And that's no way to live. You should sell real estate because you want to, not because you have to pay the bills.
That's a good point, what you're saying. No, so true. I mean, Beau, you hit it right square in the eye. I mean, the investors, a lot of people have talked to me, even the attorneys, right, Sarah? Real estate attorneys, syndication attorneys, all. And, those are on this side. Let's say brokers also, right, who are selling these properties. They're making one-time fee. They are saying, you know what, I'm making millions on the other side for the investors. So you're right. But what you're saying is, let's form that opinion that we want to be on the investor side, because that's, along with what you're doing right now, will get you the streams of income. Right, Sarah? Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. And so Vinny's where I want to be at some point. Beau and I, we both looked at Vinny. We want to be in his spot soon, at some point. So yeah, absolutely. It takes a ton of work, and I think for people that are working a W-2 job, or whatever they're working on, it's just a daily grind. Going to work every day, whether it's now remote or if you're going into work. And just kind of wondering, what's next. And so that's kind of what I went through. But it is still a grind. It is still, you have to put in the work to get yourself to where you want to be. And it's a long road. Real estate is a long road. It's definitely not an overnight thing. And that's what, even when I talk to investors, is, having them understand that this is a long journey. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And that, that I have to, if you want to be successful, there's a lot of things that you need to do to get there. And you do have to take an active part. You do have to be proactive and educate yourself and learn about investing and learn about different asset classes, and set your own goals as to what you're comfortable with, what type of investing you're comfortable with, and what type of real estate, if you want to be passive or active, or if you want to go into multifamily versus residential, or senior living, or storage, or whatever it is that you want to go into. Just taking the time to educate yourself is priceless, and not just like jumping into something just to jump into it. And I think that's what I find is the biggest challenge for a lot of people, at least that I talk to, is just making the time and making it a priority that they want to take those steps. Because I think it's really easy. A lot of us get so wrapped up in our daily lives. We just we wake up, we do our thing, we go to work, we come, and we have families to take care of. And so it's hard to kind of, prioritize that time unless you're really, really intentional about it and you're really serious about it. And so my goal is to do the ground, as long as I need to. And then at some point, be able to get to a point where I can, really give back as much as I can. My goal is to, be in a position so that I can actually, contribute to other interests that I have, in various community projects and whatnot. When I started this whole thing, it was to, leave a legacy, just like as my company name is Legacy Bloom, is, leaving a legacy for myself, for my family. What am I going to, if I die tomorrow, what do I leave? And it's not just leaving money or assets or physical things, but what am I leaving personally behind? What are people going to remember me for? What am I contributing to society? And so all of those things are really important to me. And so that's kind of the journey that I'm taking. And I'm also working with my investors on that same journey, kind of working with mindset, self-improvement, all of those things, because without that, I mean, you're not going to be a successful investor without all of those other components.
So true, Sarah. And I've been so pleased. I mean, your action, your, branding, your, putting these beautiful marketing pieces, educational pieces. It's so wonderful to share with us. I know you are taking that whole thing to educate passive investors and give them the lifestyle they deserve by investing in some very nicely thought through alternatives, right, for investing other than stock market and all that. And you're starting a podcast, which I'm so proud of. And it's just wonderful. What your mindset. I think you have set the mind right. I can tell you that.
So my podcast I'm really excited about. I've never done anything like a podcast. I've been on a few podcast shows, but never really actually did my own. And when I thought about doing my own podcast, which is called 50 Shades of Wealth, Confessions of a Real Estate Investor.
You want to show it again?
If you want to.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not.
Then it went away. Yeah.
It's not live yet. We're actually going to launch it here in a few weeks. We're working through some episodes, and it'll be out soon. Sure. But when I came up with the podcast, and actually kudos to my business partner, she actually helped me come up with a name because we were brainstorming what to call the podcast. I was like, well, this is what I want to do. This is the theme I want to take, and so she came up. She's like, well, why don't 50 Shades of Wealth? And I'm like, that's great. I love it. Because really to us, it's, wealth is not just about the financial part of it, right? It's not just about having enough in your retirement account and so that you can retire or having enough money in the bank. Wealth is so many, it's so many other parts of our life, right? It's our social, it's our time, it's our mental health, our physical well-being. There's so many different, facets of wealth that has nothing to do with money. And so what we talk about in our podcast is we actually interview investors who are on all different stages of their journey. They may be beginning investors. They may be, and actually, Vinny, you were one of my first guests, so thank you. Vinny's going to be on there. They may be very experienced investors who've been doing it for many years and have been very successful. But they all have the common theme of, they all started because they wanted that financial security. They wanted more time, and time is invaluable, and it's you can't get time back. Sure. And so really just understanding their stories, kind of their journey, how they got there, and a lot of it is mindset. And so again, it's not just as simple as just going out and making an offer on a property and closing it and then selling it. Even to get to that point, you have to work on your own mindset, how you think, what you believe in. How you feel about yourself, how you think about yourself, because all those activities, all that behavior that you do is all based on how you think and perceive yourself and how you operate you. And so I believe to be a successful investor, you have to get through those limiting beliefs. You have to be able to get through a lot of those mental challenges that, people put, they hold themselves back. Either because they think they're not good enough, they're not worthy enough, they can't do it, it's too hard, it's too big of a thing, that's like too overwhelming. And so the stories that we share on the podcast, I'm having a fantastic time with it, just getting to know all these people. And then we also share a confession, because I think part of the process is just being vulnerable to because being an investor also entails your personal mindset. And some of the hurdles that you personally had to go through. And so each of our guests have been vulnerable on the show and shared some type of a confession, that affected them and affected their lives and their investment activities. So it's been really fun. So I can't wait for you all to listen, and I can't wait for it to get launched. I'm really excited about it.
I think what's interesting too is and Sarah, since we're have residential mortgage backgrounds, the interesting thing is we get to see inside people's loan applications, for example, right? So you see so many people that are making a ton of money W-2, and then they have no money in the bank, they have no savings, they have no reserves. It always amazed me that there was these people making $300,000 or $400,000 a year and had absolutely no savings. And
mhm.
I mean, I think that's the kind of like the shocker to me. Like if you're making 30 grand a month or 25 grand a month, you know, for an extended period of time, what's happening to your money? Where is it going? Like we're in such a broken world right now that I know, you know, I believe me, I could have been done things a lot different, but you know, the thing is people making money for that long and not having any reserves. I mean, what's the point of working 20 or 30 years, right? And not having anything to show for you. So it comes back to people like yourselves who are educating people on, listen, here's some things you can do. You can get started. Maybe you're new and you have, you know, 50,000 to invest, or maybe you've got 3 million, right? Earning very little returns. They just need to start looking outside of their comfort zone. I think, you know, some people are like, well, I like my mutual funds, right? And really, the only people really making a ton of money on that are the mutual fund companies, right? I mean, at the end of the day, they're basically using your money to make high returns, like anything. So, in addition to that, when I was looking into like life insurance for myself, right? I'm 42 years old, and so started thinking about that. And then, but when I really broke it down, for me, being self-employed and having a lot of write-offs, it didn't really make sense to have like a whole life policy, right? Because I really, the only thing I want a term policy was I could pay, instead of spending $1,000 a month or $1,500 a month, I could spend $100 a month and just get covered if something happened. So like, I think as investors, we need to explore all these things too. And like what I like about what we do as loan officers, which gives us a good fundamental in real estate investing, obviously, because we get how to structure deals, is like now that I'm doing more complex deals, I'm learning about things like PACE and how you can use PACE loans in the capital stack, right? Like when Vinny's doing these development projects, right? Like what does he want to do? He, you know, as a syndicator, typically you usually want to get the highest leverage. 80% of the time, you're usually looking for highest leverage. So knowing what areas will incorporate PACE financing in the capital stack with your senior lender, right? Instead of doing expensive mezz or pref equity deals, you can actually get higher leverage, which means less investors into the capital stack, which means higher returns for yourself as the GP, and then the LPs get higher returns, right? If there's less investors in the deal. Mm-hmm. So I like doing that kind of stuff. And so it's good to know Vinny, because he's always, you know, trying to figure out how to, you know, finance these things. And so I've learned a lot just, you know, having to serve people I know, right? Because they're all looking for something. And so PACE is kind of the new thing I really enjoy learning about. And I could see like the value, especially in certain markets. Certain markets, they've passed the legislation for it. And so you can get, you know, a 20%, 10, 15, 20% equity infusion in the capital stack with PACE in certain locations. And also, you can also use it for look backs after you build a property, or if you own the property already, you can do retroactive for, you know, basically increasing NOI and keeping the property in good shape. So that's kind of the fun part about what I like to do. But I definitely see that, you know, financing these deals for other people, that you have to get on that side, because if you're not on that side, you'll always be on the transactional side, which is, you know, it's a job.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sarah, I show that to everybody. I know we are
trying
to show it. It's just coming in and out. I want it to show also. Very nicely designed.
Thank you.
Thought through.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was amazing. Yes.
Well, Beau, I want to add on that too, you know, because we've been in the same profession. So you can definitely relate, as, you know, it's also been amazing to me. And you make a really good point about, you know, we see hundreds of clients' financials, right? And so we're in a position where we have the privilege of seeing inside of somebody's personal situation, right? Because somebody's finances is also, it's not just the finances, but the financial piece of the finances are such a big part of somebody's personal being, right? It doesn't necessarily define who you are, but that some people, it does define who they are. And it's a really important piece of themselves. But we are able to, you know, see into that. And I can tell you, I can agree with you that over the years, I have been amazed at how many clients that I've worked with over the years that are very high income earners, very high W-2 income earners, and they still don't have what you would think that they would have by the income that they've been making. What you would expect them to have in reserves or in savings or in other investments. And my question too is, where does it all go? And what I've learned, because I was also in that position for a little bit. I mean, very high income earner as a W-2, and we were also investing, but we weren't investing enough. And part of that reason was because
you're listening to the Investor Financing Podcast. We'll be right back after this break. Are you looking for funding? Are you getting frustrated trying to find a lender? Visit investorfinancingpodcast.com and click the Get Funding button. Complete the simple form and schedule a free phone consultation with one of our placement specialists. We have a proprietary directory of funding partners that can help you get the funding you need. It's fast and easy to explore the options available for your specific needs. Don't wait. Visit investorfinancingpodcast.com and get connected.
I didn't take the time to educate myself, even though I was in the industry. I'm in finance, I'm in real estate, but when you're investing, you really have to educate yourself, and you really have to understand how to invest and what type of investing you can do, and really make a point to take that money that you're earning and invest it. And, make other sacrifices, maybe not go out as much or eat out as much, or just, put yourself on a little bit tighter budget. As they say, you spend what you earn. So you could be making this much and you spend all of it.
Yeah.
And so I think part of that educational process was really important. And really making it a priority in your life. If you don't make it a priority in your life, you're not going to do it. And then you wake up one day, 5 years, 10 years later, 20 years later, and you're like, what do I have? Like nothing. I don't have what I thought I would have. Yeah. And so part of the motivation for doing this is really just, helping people out there to, make it a priority and, get them educated and help them put themselves in a position so that 5 years from now, 10, 20 years from now, be like, man, I'm glad I did that. Or I wish I did that sooner, because I can say that for myself. I wish I would have started, 20 years ago instead of, 10 years ago. So I think that whole part of that is important. I think we're in such a unique position to be able to help educate people, because we have seen through those windows of the finances and how that all kind of comes about. So yeah, but thank you, Vinny, for showing my my podcast picture.
Totally. And I want everybody to really subscribe to it and listen to it, every week as Sarah brings
it. Is gonna be launched in a few weeks, and you can go to my website for access, but it'll be launched out there on all the podcast channels. But my website is www.legacybloom.com. So just check out my website. I'll have a link on there soon when it gets launched.
Beautiful. I do want to talk about a little bit, Sarah, like I know all the marketing techniques and everything, and, to reach the right avatar. So can you talk about that? Who is your best avatar? What are you going after? Who would you be able to really get happily involved in, alternative investments? Let's say.
Well, I would say that, our avatars tend to mirror us. But I would say the ideal avatar would be somebody, middle-aged, probably in their 40s. Somebody who is, has either, they have a career, business, they're high income earners. They want to, they feel that they're giving way too much of their money to the government. And, maybe they're looking for tax breaks. So they're looking for some deductions. They're looking for ways to keep that money. And, really, I think it's people that are in that kind of age bracket that are right at that cusp of, they probably have some money saved. They probably have they have probably a fair retirement going and, things like that. But they're kind of at a point where they're looking ahead 20 years and, they're starting to wonder, how are they going to have enough? And so I think from that age group of from 40 to 55, and not that that's the cutoff or anything, but just kind of that general midlife age group, where people really start to think about it seriously. That would be my avatar. And that's really where, it's never too late to do anything. I mean, I have investors that are 60, 70, 80 years old. So there's no limit to the age, but kind of that age demographic is probably where it fits best, because they have some money, they just don't know what to do with it, and they just don't know how to grow it, and they don't necessarily want to be in the stock market, or they want to be able to diversify, and they're curious about real estate, or they've always wanted to do real estate, they just really didn't know where to start.
Sure.
So
beautiful. No, very nice. I was also thinking okay, as you have really transformed into educational platform and also helping a lot of people leaving a legacy, how is your weekly, or are you using some other how you are multiplying yourself, let's say?
I like that term, Vinny. How am I? So I would say multiplying myself or duplicating myself, or good question. A lot of that is just time management. I have taken a little bit of a backseat on the mortgage side. I mean, I was a sales manager for my team, and I stepped down from that last year. And so I took a backseat to that and just kind of, taking care of my own clients and working by just purely through just my database referrals and some of my agent referrals. And so that part of the business for me is fairly, it comes easy to me because I've been doing it for so long. Like, Beau, it's like you've been doing it for so long, you get really good at it. You don't need to, spend a lot of time necessarily just to do one transaction. But so I still handle that part of my business. But really it's about time blocking and management. It is very difficult, I can tell you now with COVID, because my kids are home, school started now. And, I feel like, I've been trying to work and, work on the marketing and working on the business side of it. But then I got kids, coming in every 5 minutes, and, they need things. And so just kind of being a full-time, parent plus full-time working, it is difficult, but a lot of that is just time management and just understanding, goal setting, what do I need to get done that day? I do write a lot of lists, and I do figure out the night before and also in the morning what I need to actually accomplish. And so there's only a few things that'll be on that list that I have to get done. And then everything else, I kind of I'm like, if I get it done, I get it done. I'll go the next day. Sure. And then that's kind of how I keep moving forward. And it is a process, building, the platform, a website, doing the marketing, talking to investors. I talk to investors a lot. I talk to my existing clients a lot. And so it is just kind of a lot of, it's really a juggling act. I mean, it's just like with a lot of the stuff, right? You're juggling all of these different things, and you really have to have a system of organization for yourself to keep yourself on track. The other thing that helps me is that I have a business partner. She also helps. It's when you work together with somebody, it's actually a lot easier to help to kind of manage things, because you can kind of, delegate some things out, and then you can also, kind of bounce ideas off each other. And so that way you're not kind of in your own head all the time. You can actually talk to somebody and kind of brainstorm about your ideas and what you need to do. So I would say that's kind of what I go through.
Excellent. No, I was going to say systems. You mentioned about systems. What are some of the software systems or apps that you are finding you and your partner are using?
So I've always been a big proponent of systems and structure. I'm a very kind of process driven person. Even in sales, I always had a very specific sales process, and I would go sales step 1, 2, 3, 4. And everything was a process, and I always followed it, and I was very successful by doing that, and then setting up a structure and systems and tools in place. So I have so for my database marketing, I use ActiveCampaign, which you're very familiar with, which I like. I think it's easy. It's been a great platform.
I totally love it. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a CRM. So it's a contact, like a customer management tool, or kind of customer management tool. You can send out emails and it does a lot of automations for you and that kind of thing. I also use a system called Trello, and it's are you familiar with it?
Yeah.
Have you heard of it? Yeah. I love it.
I have an account. I haven't used that.
Yeah, okay.
I should.
It's very diverse. You can use it for all different things. You can use it as a CRM. You can use it for a project management tool. You can use it for a task management thing. I've used it in the mortgage. I used it in my mortgage business, and I actually engineered it so that I could run reporting off of it. I mean, I could literally run reports and manage every single task and process in the transaction.
Wow.
And so. It was communicative. So we had my team members, we would all go on it. It was live. You'd make updates. It would make those updates live. Everybody knew what was going on a transaction. Whatever, you could put whatever notes, you could put in whatever emails, you could do checklists, it was so we got it to a point where it was very, very efficient. And so in the real estate, side of my business, I do something similar, and I set up basically project management list or kind of a platform so that I can manage the transaction just very similarly. And because there's so many moving parts in multifamily and with syndication, you need to kind of keep all of that together. So I use that. And then I use, for the investor platform, I was using Syndication Pro, but I think now I'm going to look at the Appfolio that you gave me and look at their platform for the investor portal management side.
Excellent. I know, she's wonderful, right? John just sent you the name of the person. She's from Texas, and they did a 1-hour demo with us. And I was totally, taken back. And we did sign up, and our daughter Monica was able to import. We left IMS, we left Upgate Capital, and now we are into Appfolio all the way.
It looks really interesting. So thank you for sending me that contact. And what I want to just, we had talked about process and structure. For anybody that's out there that's listening, that if they're trying to start a business or they're in a business and or they're trying to figure out how to get it organized, I cannot stress enough the importance of having a process and having that structure in place, because it's as long as you set up your process and you have your tools, then you're gonna be successful. What I struggled with before, like early back in my career, was I had so many things going on. You have so many transactions going on. You have so many clients you have to deal with. It's you get lost in the shuffle. And then you get lost in your day, and then at the end of the day, you realize you didn't get anything done. So following following a very systematic approach for me worked very well. And so if you can create create a systematic approach for yourself, for your business, and have a good business plan and really stick to that, then I would say then you can go, the sky's the limit.
I got a funny story. And okay, so I'm getting better with my systems. I'm more of an idea person. I can idea things to death, but very creative person, but systems has been my weakness. And so I got some training from this gentleman that teaches you how to work with virtual assistants in the Philippines, essentially, and set up systems. So I'm using Asana, and I'm putting the different tasks for the VA, and it's great because it's there, right? And then it just happens. And then we added a new task, and the new task was to use one of my other business emails, because I'm sending a different marketing piece for a different type of loan I'm doing. So my VA is emailing people, right? And she's supposed to she notifies me via Slack, but sometimes I don't check my Slack, right? So what happened is there was 3 people that replied back to the email like 2 days ago. I still haven't contacted them back. So it's like that this should have been thought about, but at least now I have the right. So now that's going to be it. Okay. When a lead replies back, you ping me on Slack, and then you forward the email to my email address and ping me there too, right? Because I'm missing money right there, right? I'm losing stuff and that's simple. It's not like I set that process up once and then it's done correctly. And so I'm getting so much better at doing that kind of stuff now, because that's the stuff. I mean, you talk about multiplying yourself and leveraging yourself. If you can get somebody for $3 to $5 an hour doing these tasks for you that are creating, potential checks of $5, $10, $20, $30, $50,000, right? That's the kind of like where I'm going. And then the systems. Now I realize the importance. If you look at all these multifamily syndicators, all my friends that are in syndication that are successful, like Vinny and guys like Andrew Cushman and all these guys have, and girls, I should say, have similar traits. They're very system and they're very detailed oriented. That's why a lot of people in, engineer backgrounds, they seem to excel in multifamily, right, and commercial real estate, because they're the way their minds work versus the other people that are flipping houses. It's a different process. So the systems, I wholeheartedly agree that's why Sarah was very successful in her mortgage business, because like without systems, how are you going to process 20 loans a month, right? Like it's just overwhelming, especially after the downturn, and they had all these other compliance issues now.
Sure, and $1 billion in transactions. I love that, and I hope everybody's gotten a lot of great nuggets today, guys. I mean, our show is to take your business to the next level and systematically designing, your business automations and all those things that Sarah shared and Beau has shared. I hope it's been really meaningful to you. But, I always believe in one thing. This whole podcast will do nothing for you unless you jot down 2 or 3 things from it and take action. You got to take action to move the needle, I call it, right? So I hope as you share this broadcast with your friends or look back at it again, I hope you wrote down certain things to take your business to the next level. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today. And
you're very welcome. Thanks for having me, you guys. I really enjoyed it.
It's been such a pleasure. And again, guys, please comment, give us some, topics to discuss. If you would like some great personality like Sarah to bring on the show, we are all yours, because this show is for you. And we want to give you the very best. We are designing now where this show will be broadcasted again through a podcast. We talked to Ramesh this morning, Beau, so John has taken the lead, and Akshay. So they'll be able to design the whole podcast of this one and the senior living. So we'll be having then 4 podcasts going on simultaneously each week, which will be differentiating all different facets. So if somebody's saying that's awesome. So no, thank you so much, Sarah. Anything last comments you want to say to our viewers? And John and Beau, you any last comments? But yeah.
I'll start because I had something. I've been a fan of this guy, Joe Polish, for a long time. He has this group called Genius Network, and it's nothing really with real estate. He's just one of the best business and marketing minds out there. Mm-hmm. But I was on one of his Zoom meetups the other day, and this guy from Amsterdam was speaking, and he's writing a book on this right now. I find that this could be very valuable to a lot of us, especially myself, especially now that we're all working from home.
Yeah.
And does everybody know what intermittent fasting is?
Intermittent fasting. Okay.
So that's basically means that I only eat during an 8-hour window out of the 24 hours in the day, right? And so there's been huge scientific reports on this, that it's fantastic to lose weight, to get in better shape, right? Not to feed yourself, to actually fast for 16 hours out of the day and then just eat during that block. So he was talking about that, but what he really did, a lot of people that were working online a lot and we're getting very distracted by people pinging us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, all this stuff. So what he does is he's writing a book on it called Internet Fasting. And this goes into the thought process of like, and this is what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to turn off my notifications and basically the connections for, whatever that is, I got to figure out in my day, and then do like the actual deep work, right? Like, because we get so distracted all day. We always plan on doing all this stuff, but all these things are affecting us, and we're not able to actually do what Carl Newport, he wrote a book called Deep Work. We're not able to do the deep work. So pick pick that time block, right? It's essentially time blocking where you're turning off all that, and then you're able to do that. Like where maybe if you're a multifamily syndicator, it means that you're reaching out to people, or you're writing an email campaign to a potential investor, right? Where you could actually focus. Or for me, if I'm doing, if I'm marketing to people that are buying or developing assisted living facilities, and I'm writing a piece about, construction loans and how to pair the capital stack. But do that deep work where you're going to get the most, bang for your buck. And so I think we become so addicted to our phones and stuff. Look at Vinny; he's just staring at his phone.
Hold on, no, I just did the Google. My mind just goes. I want to go to YouTube. I put down internet fasting, and look at that, 1 million views, guys. 1 million views. We tried internet fasting, so I'm very open to it, because a lot of us get so stymied with these emails and all this and the Facebook. People want to come in and comment and everything. At the end of the day, we need to see what's important, what's not important. So thanks for bringing that, Beau. I'm telling you, I was thinking, when you said that, how can I sign off here? I think in iPhone, there is a place where you can say, do not disturb me from this hour to this hour. So no notifications, no phone calls. I'm going to look into that. I think that's excellent, right?
We all know when we have a vacation like that, we're flying out at 5 a.m, and it's our last day, right?
Yeah.
How much work do you get done because you have to, right? So if you're able to kind of program yourself, then that's like, amazing.
What I want to just say to everybody was something that what I thought was helpful was about delegation.
Yes.
And about delegating tasks out.
Yeah.
And one thing that I learned in my business was, your time is valuable. So think about how much you're paying yourself to do some of the tasks that you could probably delegate out. I mean, if you're, if you want to pay yourself $25 an hour, $50 an hour to just do something that's very simple. I mean, if there's a way like through these virtual assistants, that you guys have been talking about, and also that I've also started using as well. Yeah. That's just the way to be more efficient. Sure. And so, if I need to do some admin work that I could have somebody else do, that's the way to outsource that. Get it off your desk. I used to have this motto with my teams, like, get it off your desk and have somebody else do it, because that way you're buying yourself time to work on the other more important things. And so anyway, so that would be my my last tidbit there for everybody.
So profound, so profound. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Vinny. Thank you so much. And too bad, Beau, tell him I said goodbye.
Yeah, right. I think Beau is going to be sending the outro out, and then we'll be able to wrap it up. Beau, are you able to take us out, Beau, if he's listening to us? Otherwise, we'll have to keep on talking.
We'll just keep going.
I love it. No, this is so exciting. I think today we covered so many great things. And, the biggest thing is that seed that we put in our mind to make that change, I think, and I hope in today's broadcast, we are able to probably have some people think about it. What are they doing in the W-2 job, the day in, day out, everything? Are they moving the needle? Are they getting to that financial happiness, bliss, whatever you want to say, right? Independence. There are a lot of things. I mean, money is not everything, but to have that time with the family, to leave that legacy, like you said, Sarah, I'm so proud that I came in touch with you, and that you're just a wonderful human being. And, no, really, that's so true. And, the way you are focused, and to be able to give time to your family, and doing the loans also. And it's very credible, how you built these systems, and then you're moving very systematically now to gain the knowledge, and also to really leave the legacy with investors. And there are $28.4 trillion in retirement funds. I mean, you and a lot of us can really help a lot of people out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing too is that I'm so glad that I signed up with you, and you've been my personal mentor, and part of the academy. And I just can't stress enough the importance of really just finding a good mentor, just finding somebody that that you can learn from and bounce ideas off of, because because that's going to help motivate you and give you more confidence, to take the first step. And so that was a big deal for me. So just, if you don't have a mentor, if you don't have somebody out there, find someone. Find them on Vinny. I found you on the internet. I did. And I went on the internet and I was looking.
Oh, no, thank you so much. And I think the big thing is moving into point of action and looking at if, insanity's definition, if we keep on doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and expect different results, it doesn't work, right? It just doesn't work. And that's why mindset is so important. The state of mind, what we are yesterday, we should never harp on it. We can't change it. But what we are doing today is the most important activity and the legacy we can leave by taking care of today, because tomorrow will take care of it by itself. Because when tomorrow comes, it's going to be today again. So it's that, the whole idea about personal growth is so important. So important. Keep us accountable. Every one of us should be accountable to ourselves, pat ourselves, back. Don't really always think about, feel guilty is the word, right? I have led a lot of my time in my life where I felt guilty of doing this or not having time. But the biggest thing is, just be happy and moving it to the right course of action, because Rome was not built in a day, right? But what you're becoming, Sarah, I see you as a very, very big syndicator. I see you, having thousands of, maybe millions of people, who will be able to really see, who Sarah is, and you'll be helping them to get into very good, solid, vetted instruments, I call it. Real estate is one of the very best ones, of course, and in the different facets within real estate also, to give people diversity. I really believe in that.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that, Vinny. Thanks for the encouragement. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you. So thank you.
No, really.
I hope one day, right? So,
no. Thank you again.
And inspiration. So
we'll have to kind of leave. I think looks
yep,
like
I think we
it says still live, but bye everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Investor Financing Podcast. For show notes and useful resources, please visit investorfinancingpodcast.com. For questions or comments, email info@investorfinancingpodcast.com. If you enjoy our show, please share it with your network. Until next time.